For hundreds of years, the High Street has been the centre of communities throughout Britain. From as early as the Victorians and Edwardians, photographs have been taken of shopkeepers proudly posing in front of their businesses. Following this long tradition, I photographed the business owners and staff who work on my local High Street. I was curious to know more, so I asked them why they'd set up shop and what they think the future holds for the High Street.
I think if you'd asked me 3 years ago, I'd have been quite pessimistic about it, but I'm a little bit more optimistic post-COVID. I think a lot more people are shopping on the High Street, and I think we've reason to be more optimistic now. At one time, it was being taken over by chains, the Costa coffees and the super drugs and everything, which are still here. But hopefully that has stopped, and we will keep most of the independent shops that we've got.
I'm probably the opposite to a lot of people. A lot of people think high streets are going to die with online, but I think they will flourish. I think COVID has actually taught us quite a bit with high streets. It's made us respect and appreciate what we got on high streets more. Just to go into shops, speak to people, get customer service, and actually just look at what the product you're buying and just get on with your life like a normal.
The future of this high street, and not just this high street, but most high streets, I think they'll eventually they will die out, and there'll be a lot less people using the high street because everything's going online, and due to like pandemic and viruses and all the rest of it, and I think that the high streets will eventually die out.
We opened in August 2016. I've got a brother-in-law. He works in a Spitalfield market, fruit and veg market. So we just had the idea of like opening a nice greengrocer in a nice area. So that was the reason of it. I think it's alright because if the people support a little bit more, not us maybe, we're doing okay. I'm not gonna say this one, but if they support it a little bit more, small businesses, it will be better. Instead of getting all them big companies in a high street, it will be better boutique shops and more socializing, more friendship. So it will be alright.
The business was opened by my father in 1970. We've been a family-run business for that many years now, and it's still continued. The future of the high street is very hard to predict. It's been the same and new at the same time. It's been old and same, and you've got old people that are still here. You've got a new generation coming in. You've got the older generation moving out. So we don't know until we see the future. So that's the best answer I can give.
I opened my business in 19 November 2013. The reason I opened my business is because I work too long for other people and make pleasure and never recognize what I do for them. Since the COVID-19, there is disaster for us because we can't survive just with the takeaways, and then we work hard, but the rent go up and up. The government doesn't do anything. I am positive. I see, thanks to the old people, they support to us. We're fighting in here until I don't know what happens because the COVID-19 is not finished yet.
I think eventually it's going to go down. All the shop, most of the shop is going to be closed, and there's not much future for high street. I think that's my opinion.
I think similarly, with the rise of the internet shopping, there's going to be less and less work for the pharmacies and the general retailing. Having said that, a lot of people seem to enjoy the experience of coming out into the high street and doing some shopping and doing face-to-face purchases, which hopefully will lead to new avenues, and there would be a new retail section. Not in the way that we know it now, but it would be totally different. A lot of the personal relationships will have to dissolve away, and it would mean that we'll end up with really working with newer population as the older population move either away or pass on. But really, I think the future is what we make it.
It was my dad's idea. He wanted to start the electronics business and he opened it in 2005, February 2005. We get business because of the services and presence, because there are still customers out there who wanted to deal with the people. I think the future of the high street is bright.
It was opened by my great-grandfather in 1929. Just a family business that we've just all carried on. I think it's progressing. It's going a bit up market at the moment, but yeah, I think it's doing okay. Oh, I think it'll be good. It'll be a very busy little high street.
I've been waiting to buy the business here, to buy the shop. I wait for 7 years. I love so much the high street, and that's the place where I want to start my business. But I think the future of the high street, I think it's getting better and better. I think the pandemic helped as well to achieve that, because a lot of residents now shop locally. It's a small high street, and we still have a lot of independent shop, and that is make it special, I think.
We opened this store in 2009-10, this convenience store opened my husband's dream, and just survive with the family on that business, yeah. But now the bigger store, they take over the high street business. It's like open Tesco Metro, Tesco Express now on the high street. So struggling now business. So we don't think, but right now we are struggling for the small convenience store on a high street. I think is a business, if the local public is not supporting the high street business, the might be is closing down.
Well, I think with a lot of people working at home, the high street Monday to Friday is a lot busier, so I can see the high street become a bit more social. I think the businesses that are on the high street, the weekends used to be very busy for us, like Saturday and Sunday. That's toned down slightly, but Monday to Friday is significantly busy with people working from home. So I think the future of the high street looks quite positive. I think it will change. I think the best high streets have a bit more sort of boutique stores and smaller businesses rather than bigger businesses. I hope that's the direction of the high street. Whether that happens or not, I'm not sure.
I'd heard about this practice and that it had been around since World War II, very established. I think COVID has changed the dynamics, everyone working from home now. We've seen a huge influx of new customers come in, and it's a complete community in every sense of the word. It's just so, yeah, I think the high street's going to be very promising because of COVID.
Future of the high street, as I see it, things are happening, and there are some changes happening, like the banks are gone, big businesses, but on the other hand, big businesses are coming as well, like Costa and this kind of businesses. Small businesses are struggling at the moment, but this is the situation at the moment we are in, this corona and this kind of things. Apart from that, business future is good.
I think it'll be kept the same on the high street, just because we don't like change, so maybe there won't be much change around this high street. So yeah, it will be kept the same. So yeah, it will carry on. It'll be good for the future. Yeah.
I'm street cleansing on the machine. I'm street cleansing. Roll sweeper on the barrow. 25 years plus. 7 years. At the moment, there's not much of a future, is there? With this corona. I think it's going downhill myself. Everything seems to be shutting. Yeah. A lot of shops are shutting. Plenty of cafes though. Plenty of cafes. Recession's coming on. Oh, it's a recession, economic, yeah. I'd say the corona and all. Well, the standard of living's gone down. No one's earning anything these days. No one's got any money. There's no money in this high street, nowhere. I've got none. I've got none either. I think it's all gone abroad.
Yeah, my name's Richard Chapman. It's all around cleaning company. and my role in the business, I'm the director, but I also work within the business as a window cleaner and office manager. I think the high street's very prosperous, especially for the small independents. I don't think there's a massive place within the high street for the bigger companies, although there will always be an area for them. But I do believe that the small independents is where the high street will flourish, because local people will always support local shops.
We opened summer 2018. I'd had a couple of restaurants in the city in the square mile for sort of 15, 18 years. I just wanted something a bit more neighbourhoody, family orientated, rather than just a sort of more corporate suit environment. I think most suburban high streets will be okay, especially post-pandemic. I still think there's going to be a lot of working from home. I think we've been lucky in the high street here and all the other high streets sort of, you know, in the suburbs, that people haven't been going into city centres. No one's been going to West End shows or cinemas in town or nights out, so they've all been staying local, which has helped all the local businesses. I still think that will continue, maybe not as much as it has been, but yeah, for that reason I think the high street should be alright. I think it should be okay.
My name is Jo, and the name of the business is Polished by Jo, and I do all the nails and beauty in the business. I've opened it on the 1st of June 2021. I worked for my sister in the family business before, and I thought I'd start my own business. It might get better in a few years' time. Maybe everyone adapt to all these rules and thing, and people get back to normal. Hopefully everything will be okay in the future.
My name's Joe Earnshaw, it's the Stow brothers, and I'm the branch manager here. We opened in 2017 and our first office was over in North Stow, and we just felt that we needed to reach out to another local hub. I think we like to support independents. As a company we do as well. Post-pandemic, local hubs have become more important for community, with less people travelling into central London. So I think the future's quite bright for the more local areas.
I think it depends which high street it is. I think this is quite a thriving high street. I think it very much depends where you go. I think sadly probably the high street in some areas probably isn't going to be able to reinvent itself, sadly, because of online shopping and things like that. But I think in an area like Wanstead, I think people are quite passionate about the high street. You go out there and it's a very buzzy kind of high street. So I think this high street would be okay.
I love doing business in this high street, especially in Wanstead. I love this area. It's nice and quiet and nice people. And that was my dream since kid. Well, first when I opened this business, it was okay, picking up and everything, but last 2 years, because of the pandemic, it was a bit hard, like for everybody else. But I hope it's going to be better in the future. So
it was November 1987. We already had a retail shop at the time in a different area, so this was an expansion of the existing business at the time. I think the high street will carry on just because it's that sense of community in Wanstead High Street, and people like to gather and socialise, even more so having experienced not being able to socialise in the last 12 months. I think everyone appreciates it more than before actually.
And they get a great service in here. And it's a personal service, and we know most of the customers. And so hopefully it will carry on for many years.
My name is Lajos, and I work for Ginger Pig, and I'm just the shop manager, and I started as a butcher in Hackney. What I think, I hope is everything is going up, but because of the pandemic in here as well, there's go down a lot. Prices go up as well, even in Ginger Pig as well. After 2 years we change the price again. So I hope everything is fine, but it's not easy.
The reason why I opened the business was really down to my mum, my late mum. We started working in here just 1 or 2 days a week, and then by saving and working hard we managed to build the business along with my husband. I hope that the future will be that people shop in their local high streets. We need support from everyone local in every high street all around everywhere. And hopefully it will just grow and people will support.
We opened this in 2004.
It was a local business up for sale. We live locally, and it seemed quite an interesting project to take on, so we took it on. Me and my mum, we started it together at the time. There are obviously, there's a shift in high streets, there's online culture of businesses online, but I still think there's a need for high streets, and people need that social activity, which you don't get online. So therefore, at the moment, yes, a lot of businesses are suffering and all sorts because of COVID, but there will be a revival. There will be new independence, and there will be a new horizon ahead. So that always happens when any recession comes in, the weakest get lost, and then a new generation of people come in and new businesses will thrive.
Okay. My name is Jenny Maestri, and our business is Wanstead Park Kiosk, the Tea Hut. We've had the business for about 38 years now, and it was my mum and dad that set it up. And it was a wooden frame which was more or less old and rotted, and then overnight the kids would come and they would have little fires and try and burn it down, and the high streets become derelict at one point, and things were shutting down, and the atmosphere was going. But I think since the pandemic things have really picked up, and people have now started to support their local businesses, and the high streets have now become a lot busier, which is really nice. And hopefully this tea hut will run a lot longer than me and stay in the family.
We've been this business has been here for over 100 years, and my family's involvement has been at 80 odd years, and I'm the fourth generation of funeral directors. I think the future of the high street's fairly good. It's got all things for all sorts of different people. I don't think all high streets are like this. I think some high streets will struggle, not just because of COVID, but because of the way people shop and things. This high street doesn't just rely on clothes shops and food shops and things. It's got its cafes and restaurants.
I opened in March 2019. I've always had an interest in fashion and always wanted to open my own boutique. I'll probably take it all online just because it's become so expensive since COVID as well. I can't keep up with all the rent and rates and high bills, so eventually we'll be online. Well, I wouldn't like to see all the shops close, and I think there's already too many coffee shops and food shops, but if local businesses are not being supported by the locals, how do they expect us to stay open? I think all high street shops are going to eventually all die out and everything will be online.
I think the high street actually, having lived and worked here all my life, I think this is the best the high street's ever been, so I think the future is looking really, really good. There's some fantastic businesses on the high street. It's become a real destination as well. It's not just serves the local community, but there's people far and beyond that come here, and the future's looking great. It's the best it's ever been, so yeah, it's got a great future. It's a fantastic high street.